Hey there, I'm Terrie, and I'm the intuitive healer for folks who have anxiety and want to access their soul evolution and intuition. There's more than meets the eye here as we chat and hang out in these episodes that have spiritual, esoteric, multidimensional, somatic, quantum techniques, tools, and tips to help you get unstuck and move you forward in your day-to-day life. So join me in discovering your path to help you clear anxiety of the past, align your energy to the present, and create your new future. Well, hello there, and how's your heart? How's that wonderful, beautiful, dynamic heart of yours? I hope it's well. I hope it's fantastic. And if it's not, that's okay. It's communicating something is up with you, right? There's probably some resistance, and you may or may not know what that resistance is, but that resistance is going to stand in your way of becoming more aligned and having that clear communication with your higher soul, right? Did you know that oftentimes wanting to be polite creates that resistance, which is actually a block to your blessings? Look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be, how do I say this? I'm not saying you shouldn't stand up for yourself. You absolutely should stand up for yourself. But being polite as a survival mechanism because you don't want to upset somebody or you don't want to piss them off is not authenticity, right? Because there's a difference between being kind and being nice. Polite is nice. Authenticity is kindness. And as a spiritual empath, we want to be as kind as possible. But that does oftentimes mean we have to say no or set a boundary. So I'm not saying be a jerk. But it's okay to say no, right? And sometimes when we say no, we feel like we're being impolite, like we're not being polite. But we actually are being polite, but it doesn't feel like we're being polite. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that when you're kind, you're not necessarily polite. You're honest and you can be compassionate, right? So kindness is compassionism. Is that a word? Is being compassionate, right? So when you're kind, you're compassionate. But you may be setting a boundary or giving information to somebody or in that exchange, not saying something that they necessarily want to hear, but it still could be the truth. But you can be compassionate about it, right? And when you're kind, you are able to help them elevate their karma because you're taking care of yourself by not hiding behind that inauthenticity of just trying to be polite because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings, right? You need to be in your authenticity. I need to be in my authenticity. And sometimes that's not nice. It's actually kind. So the difference between being nice and kind, and remember, nice and polite can be the same thing or can be interchangeable. But when you're nice to someone, you could be using your survival mechanism or coping skill of fawning, which is people pleasing. And as a spiritual empath, we are so used to not wanting to ruffle feathers, not wanting to, make waves in the water. But that translates to resistance, and resistance blocks our blessings. So you can say no, and you can be very honest while still being compassionate, and that's kindness, right? So for example, let's say you're in a relationship where you're feeling that your partner is not how do I say this, is not really being very masculine with their energy, and you're more feminine energy oriented, right? So you're more the nurturer, more the compassionate one, you're more of the receiver, and your partner is not taking care of you, not making you feel emotionally, physically, financially, or emotionally, spiritually safe, right? It's okay for you to say, hey, this is what I want, and this is what I'm looking for, because I can be the kind of person that I can be when I feel this way, because this is most in my nature. So you're being honest, you're being authentic, and you're being kind, but it's not necessarily nice. Does that make sense, you guys? It's because it's not nice to hear how you are with me, I don't feel safe, which is basically what you're saying. But it's very kind. And it's authentic, and you're standing up for yourself, and you're taking care of yourself by saying, I have a need that needs to be met. But as a spiritual empath, we don't often ask for our needs to be met, because most of the time they weren't met as a child or when we were younger. So we don't even bother, because we figure they were never met before. Why would they be met now? But that's not being kind to you, and that's not being kind to the other person. Right? So saying no, I'm not going to allow myself to be treated in this way. In other words, I'm not going to allow myself to continue not having this need met, is kind to yourself. And when you express it to the other person, it's actually kind to them. Because now your partner has a chance to say, oh, wow, I did not know that. Let me fix this. Let me rectify this. I want to see how I can change, how I can elevate, how I can step up so that I can take better care of you. Because that's what masculine energy does, right? So it's better to be kind than nice, because that will bring you out of resistance, which will block your blessing. And now you're open to receive. Now you can receive love, right? For example, when you're in the energetic frequency of openness, authenticity, you are in alignment, and then you can receive prosperity, abundance, love, good health, joy, happiness, calmness, peacefulness. And that's all because you are not necessarily polite. Does that make sense? But you were kind. And spirituality is not about having the right crystals, getting the psychic readings, doing the Reiki, becoming a vegan. Spirituality is about navigating the human experience with as much kindness as possible, and forgiveness as well too. Now, I'm not saying go ahead and, forgive perpetrators. There's a lot that goes into forgiveness, and it's a process. But for this conversation, just keep in mind that spirituality is about navigating this human experience, taking care of yourself, being kind to yourself, expressing to another human so that they can elevate, right? So that their soul, their higher soul, can learn to grow, evolve, and change. And if you're not being in alignment with yourself, if you're not being authentic with yourself, you're creating resistance towards receiving that abundance, that love, that joy, whatever it is. And you're not being kind to yourself. You're actually being impolite to yourself too. And you're not being kind to the other person. You're not giving them a chance to step up. So this people pleasing, it goes deep. And, as a spiritual empath, we're taught, we got to make other people more important than us. But energy influences energy. And if you work with me, you learn how energy works. And energy influences energy. And if your energy is not in alignment and authentic, you're going to be giving off out of balance, out of whack vibrational frequencies. It's going to influence that other energetic field, right? And so there's going to be this bounce back and forth of a very unbalanced relationship in terms of energy from the masculine and feminine perspective. And when it's out of balance, it's not functional. And masculine and feminine energy are polarity. They are duality. They are different. They're supposed to be different. And when you hear that saying opposites attract, it's not about behaviors that attract. What it is, it's about frequency. And so that's why masculine energy needs feminine energy and feminine energy needs masculine energy, right? But if you're being too polite and too kind, you're not allowing someone else to change their frequency to step into that evolution. And you're not giving yourself a chance to step into your own authenticity and your own evolution as well. So you're not being kind to yourself. That's what spirituality is. It's taking care of your human while evolving your higher soul and being kind and compassionate enough to help someone else do the same. And you can't do that when you are in your fawning survival mechanism and you're in your people-pleasing mode. You are not being of service to anyone else. And as a spiritual empath, that's what we're here to do. Be of service with as much kindness as possible. We don't necessarily have to be nice, but we have to be kind. Never forget you have a lot of power within you. And maybe you haven't discovered it yet, and that's okay. But just becoming aware and mindful of if you're being nice and polite versus kind is going to take you a long, long way. All right? So keep that wonderful, beautiful, dynamic heart of yours as balanced as possible, right? In your authenticity. Yes? And then you will find that you don't have the resistance that's there to block your blessings. All right? I hope you got something out of this. I wish you all the best. Thinking of you all the time. And if you do want to work with me, I do one-on-one sessions where I do teach you how to balance, regulate, and manage the energy of your body so that you can evolve your soul. Just go to my website, terriehuberman.com. Check it out. See you on the flip side. Well, our time in this now moment together has ended, but another now moment is on its way. Thank you so much for joining me in this human journey and listening to this podcast, The Portal with Terrie Huberman. I sure hope you're getting something out of it. I'm here to help you clear anxiety from the past, align your energy into the present, and help you create your future. My prayer for you is to find the peace and calmness in any given now moment so you can recognize when blessings are afoot and you get to choose your next adventure. Be curious and stay connected. You can always find me at terriehuberman.com. Bye now.